What is going on, everybody? Today we are back for the Origin Story podcast, and we have an amazing human being on the podcast today. Excited to hear his story because you know what? He actually has not shared it publicly up until today. So this is the unveiling of Abraham Gray. I'm excited to be part of that journey, and this is a man who literally owns more businesses than Sam and I both have fingers and toes. This guy is freaking amazing, and all across different industries, everything from like axe throwing to escape rooms, trophy shops, gyms. That's actually how me and Abraham got connected. And also he buys a ton of real estate, like a lot of real estate. Look at that, as he shows you all the different businesses.
There's hundreds of businesses all over my wall.
Hundreds of businesses. So really excited to see how he got into that, but really the origin story of how he got into a position where a man can own that many businesses, and like what was his upbringing, all that cool stuff. So Sam, without further ado, please bring us in, my friend.
Yeah, absolutely. Abraham, it's an absolute honor to have you here. There's a lot of people in Sub 2 in our community who really know you well. They've known the name, right? And they know about Proof of Funds. They know about flip-flops and photos in bathtubs, which are always a good time. And then the more that we find out about you, like you just showed it, you've got hundreds of businesses. You're an extremely successful person, and people, they love seeing that success. But Logan and I are in agreement where we both believe that people can relate to the origin story, the journey a little bit more. And what we want to do here is showcase everything before that success a little bit. And so that way people can be moved to hopefully some meaningful action. So again, it's an absolute honor to have you here. It's an absolute honor to finally connect with you face to face. But lead us in, man. Tell us about.
So you want me to talk about the beginning? So basically, I actually had a really weird childhood. So my parents got divorced when I was like 1 year old. I lived with my mom for a few years, and I really didn't get along. I was really bad in school. I used to get kicked out of every class, got suspended, expelled from school to school to school. Eventually, she couldn't handle me anymore. So like when I was 9 years old, I moved to my dad. And they live in different states. And I moved to my dad. I lived with my dad for like two years and really didn't get along that well, and kept getting in trouble there too. I was just a class clown. I would just cause trouble. And from there, I just basically got put into a boarding school for kids that just didn't behave well in school and didn't get along with their parents. So I was in boarding schools for a couple years. And then when I finally got out, I went to a bunch of different foster families. Actually, when I moved out of my dad's house when I was probably around 12, I went to a couple foster families there before I went to boarding school. And then after boarding school, I just went from foster family to foster family to foster family. And, most of the people I was with were kind of cool, but, I was kind of a bad kid and didn't want to listen to people. And eventually my grandmother from my dad's side was like, you know what, just have him come live with me. And this is when I was 15. So I moved in and lived with her when I was 15. This was in Atlanta. That's how I ended up in Atlanta. I moved here when I was 15, and I'm 47 in a couple months. So I've been here for a long time, over like 32 years. So basically that's how it started. I never really lived with anyone. I didn't have any brothers or sisters, didn't have any family that I grew up with. And then I just moved with my grandmother. She was kind of older, but, she's a good woman. And I stayed there for a few years. And then when I was able to move out, I ended up buying a house. And that was my first house I moved into in Atlanta. And from there, just kept buying more and more homes. Ever since I was 15, I had like a business. Ever since I moved to Atlanta, I used to collect baseball cards my whole life growing up. And I turned it into a business when I was 15. So I got a computer, and I looked online, and I was able to buy and sell different cards. And on the weekends, I would go to these baseball card shows and sell them. And then I ended up setting up as soon as I was able to drive myself when I was 16, I started setting up every weekend at a baseball card show and buying and selling. And when I was 15, I was making like $1,000 a week just buying and selling baseball cards. And this is back in like 1989, 1990. So 1,000 then is maybe double that now. So I was making 1,000. I saved everything. I saved like 97% of what I made because I lived with my grandmother. I didn't really have bills, so I was saving it. So I was able to save, close to $50,000 when I was that young. And basically, the next year I was able to make 2,000-3,000 a week, and then 4,000 or 5,000. Before you knew it, I just had all this money saved up. I built my inventory, and by the time I was 19, I had over $1 million in my bank account saved. And from there, I just kept going with baseball cards, and then Beanie Babies became really popular in 1997, and I started switching from baseball cards to Beanie Babies. That's a whole nother story. But basically, at these baseball card shows, these middle-aged women would sell these stuffed animals, and I'm like, well, what the hell are they doing at a baseball card show? I was making fun of them, and then eventually, over months, I would see that they were busier than I was, and asked them how to do it. I saw what they were doing, and I just got better at it. I figured out ways to get it even better than them, and just transitioned from baseball cards to doing baseball cards and Beanie Babies to just doing Beanie Babies. And then from there, I just got into all kinds of hot collectibles that kids wanted. Pokemon cards, Magic the Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh. Every single year, something became hot. It was Pogs one year. It was different video games different years. It was Power Rangers some year. And I would just buy whatever was hot. I figured out how to get it, quantity, as cheap as possible. And I would just sell it on eBay or at these different shows, and everybody needed them. And from there, I ended up just buying companies. So once I had these collectibles, I actually opened up my own store. And then there were competitors that were, because I did a lot online, and there were like 3 or 4 big competitors out there that also sold online that did big business. And I wanted to, be better, bigger than them. So I came up with the idea to try to buy them out. And I had lots of talks with them. And I ended up buying one of my main competitors out when I was in my early 20s. And from there, it worked out really well. And I just went and started buying other competitors out. And before you knew it, I had like 80% of the market share online for any kind of collectibles at the time. And just from there, just went on to other businesses. I started buying my first real estate that I moved into in my early 20s, 21, 22. From there, I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. And then I started buying some rentals. And then, every few years, more flicks and flips, more rentals, buy and holds. Started doing creative finance with real estate in my mid to late 20s. I started buying a bunch of homes on owner finance and sub 2 this is probably back in the mid late 90s. Yeah, no, late 90s, early 2000s. I think 1999, 2000 is when I started buying my first sub 2s and owner finance stuff. And then, but I've been doing that before that with businesses. So I bought a lot of businesses on owner finance and even sub 2, I guess you could say. It's not really called sub 2, but like they would have money that they owed people, and I would say, you know what, let me just pay them for you, just deduct it off the price. So that's kind of like how I grew it. And then eventually, the more money you have, the easier it is to do it. So I got to a point where I just had enough money to where I could do stuff, but I still never liked using my own money for stuff. So I always came up with these creative ways to buy, multi-million-dollar businesses, because even at the time, even if I had $1 million, I didn't want to spend $1 million. So I just came up with all these different creative stuff. And as Pace teaches with sub 2 how to do a lot of things, a lot of that, I used to actually do 20 some years ago. But when I joined Paces and when I joined other people's creative finance groups, it got me more motivated to even do more. So like, even though I used to do this every so often, now I'm buying at least 2 properties every month with owner finance or sub 2. I used to buy properties back, 20 some years ago that way, but I would buy like one a year, one every couple of years. I never really like aggressively went after it. But since I started joining these groups, I'm like, you know what? Why the hell don't I just go after unlimited amounts? And now I'm actually accumulating at least 2 a month. Like every year, the last couple of years, I've accumulated at least 25 a year. Just sub 2 owner finance. Almost none of my money.
Logan.
Hold on one second. I got to give one person something to take somewhere. Hold on one second. So I need this whole packet here. Just got to go. Just Google Burgess Title in McDonough, Georgia. Just drop it off.
Live on a podcast.
Right, thanks a lot.
Another deal closed right there, live on the Origin Story, guys.
The deals don't stop.
So I got a deal that I'm closing on. I actually closed 4 properties. I bought 4 properties today. So this is just one that they let me do a signing virtually, but I have to go drop it off. So I have a mobile notary in my office that works with me. They notarized everything, and now I have someone going to drop it off. It's like a 45-50 minute drive, but I didn't want to go there. So
okay, Logan, one thing that I love right off the bat is the fact that we went from. I love when speakers come on. When we have guests who are doing high-level, high-performing things, and then it just sounds so easy. He just went from basically, and I do want to hit back on this. Going through the ringer with foster families, right? There's a national statistic and it's like a known fact that usually that doesn't lead to a lot of success. And you've come out of it on the other side as a massive entrepreneurial success. But you went from, foster families to flipping baseball cards, to flipping Beanie Babies, to flipping businesses. And now you're buying real estate like no other. And oh my God, the fact that you made it sound so simple and so easy.
It's not really very simple, but it's not hard. So here's the thing. This is the way I did it. I had no help. Like, my parents didn't help me. I did everything on my own. And, luckily I met some people along the way that, I looked up to, and they helped me, and, mainly with support. And then any questions, I just try to hang around people that I wanted to be like, that were doing really well. So, but really the main thing is it's all in your head. It's all mindset. Everything's mindset. Like, if you think that you could do it, I promise you, you're going to be able to do it. If you think that you're not going to be able to do it, you have no shot in hell. It's just impossible. So what I did was I looked at all the people I want to be like, and they were independent, had their own thing, was able to do whatever they wanted. And I was trying to figure out, well, why? Why could they do whatever they want? Why are they always happy? Why? Well, they had their independence. They were able to do whatever they want. They basically had money. So when they had money, they didn't have to rely on other people. And because of that, I was like, well, I want to get to that point. And all I really cared about was getting, bettering myself and being able to be independent and not have to ask people for anything and not have to rely on people. So I just did it. And I just knew as I would do it, and I just had this drive. You have to have this drive. Like, there's so many people around me that are like, oh, I want to do what you're doing. What we're doing. Everyone could do it, but you got to really want it. You got to have that drive. You got to have that, you really just got to want it, and I just didn't want to have to like rely on all these foster parents, all these different people. I just want to do whatever I want. Plus, I hated listening. I don't like listening to people. I like doing whatever the fuck I want to do. And, if you don't have enough money, you don't have your independence, you kind of have to listen to people, right? You have to work for somebody to make money. You have to do all this. Well, I didn't want to have to do all that. And that was my drive. So I just had to make it happen.
So, okay, I want to hit on this because it was clear that at a young age, you didn't like authority, and that got you kicked out of school a little bit here and there, and it got you into some trouble, and it's why you had to move around a lot. So do you think that correlates to, because not a lot of people, as soon as they turn 18 or as soon as they're ready to start working, go into entrepreneurialism. The fact is 99% of people go and work for someone else, and they have to rough it for 10, 15 years.
There's a reason. There's a reason for that. The reason for that is because it's like a cult, right? It's like you're brainwashed from your little kid. You got to go to school. You got to go to college. If you don't go to college, you're going to be a loser. College is probably the absolute stupidest thing anyone could possibly do, unless you want to become like a lawyer, doctor, something that you really have to go to school for. It's just absolutely insane. And even like doctors and lawyers, in a way they're losers, right? Because they have to work for somebody. Like, they still don't have their freedom. They still got to go in and do whatever they got to do when someone's telling them what to do. Someone's in charge of the hospital. Someone's in charge of them. They for the most part still have to work for someone. They're in a law firm, or they're so people are just taught from a young age to do this. And you're taught to basically work for somebody. You're basically taught that you need to work for someone. And college, first of all, puts you in crazy debt, and all it does is prepare you to work for someone the rest of your life. That's just not what America was. That's not what people dream about when they come to America or live in America. So it's just it's just a really bad thing. And, every time I see like the richest people talk, whether it's, Elon Musk or these Bill Gates, they always talk about how stupid school is and everyone should drop out. Unless you want to be a doctor or something that you really need to do it. Like, I think 97% of people just totally waste their time and waste all their money, and then don't ever really use what they went to school for.
What's really interesting is that people are listening to this and they're going to be mad. Like, I think you should go to college. I think you should do this and this. And like, you had $1 million at 19 years old. I actually have never heard anybody who's had that much money self-made at 19 years old. And we've interviewed lots of people. And so there's two pieces that I want to ask you about, Abraham. Is number one is like, looking back on it now, because now you have perspective. Okay. Like, how motivating or how driving was that to be in a situation where maybe, I guess let me ask this, because I don't want to assume anything. Like, did you have resentment? Did you have anger? Did you have sadness from your parents? Did you have abandonment? Like, tell me kind of a little bit about what was going on in your brain.
I always had. I mean, I wasn't like a very happy. I wasn't always a very sad kid, but I wasn't really a happy kid. I never really had anybody to to really follow. I didn't have brothers. I didn't have parents that like, I respected and that looked up to. So I always had to find somebody. And, luckily I never got in trouble. Like I've never done drugs in my life. I've never done like stupid shit like that. But I definitely always acted up in school and, didn't behave as far as listening to people and stuff like that. But I just had to find role models. And back then I love watching sports, and I love, watching, a lot of those people were my role models, these football athletes and baseball and all that. And then I found people that, just honestly just kind of liked me for who I was and were older than me, and they became some of my mentors, and they would just hang out with me and have these few hour long talks, and all about mindset and all about, how to, do better in your life. And, when I was going to all these boarding schools and everything, I always had therapists. Like when you go to these boarding schools, you had like therapists. So I always like was in these group therapy classes, and some of these people actually became my friends. And one of the foster parents I had at one point was actually one of my therapists. And, we just had long talks and became good friends, and he set my mind straight in different ways. And luckily I had people like that I was able to talk to drive me to where, I am today.
Yeah, I think that's amazing. And, to kind of continue on that point, like, do you think that it was actually something that people look at as maybe as a negative thing, but it was also your opportunity that you have to actually choose the people you looked up to, rather than most people are on default, they just look at their parents because they're those people who they see every single day.
Mm-hmm. I mean, look, it's great to have parents to look up to because, your parents are going to love you more than anybody. And, so it's great to have them, but, you got to make sure that your parents are, know what they're talking about too. I would say that I see parents talk to their kids all the time, and they mean the best, but they just give them bad advice. Yeah. So, unfortunately, that's why people go to college, just because their parents talk them into it. They think it's good advice. That's why people do a lot of things that they do that aren't really smart long term, but their parents think it is. They're trying to help them. So yeah, luckily I was able to just follow people that I would able just to look around at just different people and figure out who I want to be like, and those were my role models, and that's who I followed. And none of these people went to school. None of these people wasted time. Most of these people did their own thing, and that's who I always wanted to follow.
And so you had $1 million at 19 years old, right? And obviously you've made a lot more money since then. But like, what goes on in the head of a 19-year-old who's got $1 million, and he looks around and nobody around him, people much older than him, don't even have that much money? Like, how do you navigate a world where you literally have FU money at 19 years old?
Yeah. So honestly, when I was 15, 16, I didn't even think it's possible to be a millionaire. Like that's like, wow, a millionaire, so crazy. But actually there's more people becoming millionaires every day than you'd even believe. It's not even that big of a deal anymore. But once I got to $1 million, I was like, well, fuck, I need to get to 5 million. Once I got to 5 million, I was like, I need to get to 10, and then 10 to 20, 20 to 40. Now, I want to get to the next levels. Not can I ever be a billionaire? I don't know if that's possible, but I'll try. It's just and at some point I got to amount of money that I had that I'm like, you know what? I have a $7 million house. I have every single thing I want, and I don't really ever need to work again. I'm set for life, but I still work. And people always ask me, well, why do you work? I work because what I do is so fucking fun. I'd be bored as shit if I didn't work. And on top of that, no matter where you're at, right? The richest people in the world, they still work, and because you have to feel good about yourself. If you don't progress, you just don't feel good about yourself, inside. The better you do, the better you feel about yourself. So like if you stay at a stable situation or you're going down, you just lose some of your own self-esteem, believe it or not. Even no matter how much you have, you always think, well, shit, I'm a loser because I didn't better myself. So I always want to better myself. And once you get to a certain point, you just want to start helping people. And I it's so fun. Like all these different people that I help, they come to me and they're like, oh man, I was able to do this, I was able to do that, and that makes you feel good. And we end up doing a lot of stuff together. So not only does it help them, it helps me too. And like with the proof of funds, right? I do proof of funds. I probably do at least 6 or 7 a day for people, right? You don't even see all the different ones because I'm actually in other groups too. I'm in astro flipping. I'm in all these different groups. I do them for all these other ones, not just sub 2. And every single week I have people come to me and they send me a deal. They're like, look at this deal. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. But that's like, I don't do deals in San Francisco. I only do deals in Atlanta. Like, no. I was able to buy this deal and sell it and make 20 grand because you sent me your proof of funds. I'm just showing you that this is the deal I bought because of that. I'm like, oh, that's pretty fucking cool. So like, I have like stories like that every day, and that's proof of funds. But obviously, I also help people. Like people are like, well, how do I, structure this deal, or how do I, loan this person money and make sure I don't get screwed, or how, and I've talked people out of doing stuff. I've talked people into doing stuff the right way. And then they come to me like, man, I'm so happy I talked to you. If I didn't talk to you, oh my God, I would have. So, I know you guys help a lot of people too. I'm sure you have the same stuff happen to you. So you know how you feel when that happens. It's kind of a cool little thing.
Yeah.
So there's a few things I want to hit on. One, there's a trend, Logan. I'm sure you've noticed it when we've had like some of the highest performing, most impressive people on, that they tend to gamify things. They're not working anymore. It's actually they're operating as like, this is fun. This is what they have a passion for, and it's a subtle thing. Viewing it on the other side of the screen, it's a subtle thing, but you can tell when someone's working versus when someone's doing what they love. And the sooner that, we see people get to a point where they're having fun and they're gamifying it and they're just enjoying what they're doing, they end up like evolving 10 times over. And I can sense that 100%. It's absolutely amazing. And I was always wondering about the proof of funds. And, every time I see it, I'm like, is he like, I wonder why he's doing this. Like, it's just every time.
Well,
every time.
I did it as a favor for a few people in the beginning. And then it just was like, oh, he did it for me. Why don't you get him to do it for you? And then I was like, so now I used to like do it throughout the day for people. But man, I guess some of your requests, I just tell people, just like tag me in a post. I do them all at one time before I go to bed. And I just do every night. I just do them. And, yeah, so these are actually like, I have like probably over 100 and something bank accounts. Luckily, Bank of America, I bank with Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Chase, all kinds of other banks. And I keep plenty of money in all these different banks. But Bank of America specifically, you could change the name on an account to anyone's name you want. And I've showed people how to do it, but obviously you got to have that money in the account. So I have so many accounts, and I always have accounts that have over $1 million in it. I have accounts that have hundreds of thousands, whatever. But I'm able to just change. It's called changing a nickname, and I can make it anyone's, and I could just do screenshots. I could actually do even a lot more if people need it. But I think everyone that needs proof of funds, just a screenshot of the last week or few days is good enough for people. And yeah, at this point, it's just kind of like fun because I have people come to me and be like, "Look, I was able to buy this house." And every time I see a house someone buys because of it, I'm like, "Oh fuck, all right, let's keep doing it," So but yeah, so I just have these are actually some of my real bank accounts that I just changed the name from my name to their name.
So there you guys go. If you guys need a proof of funds with a lot of money in it, hit up Abraham. If you need proof of funds with negative money in it, hit me up. It's okay. I got you.
I also like loan a lot of money to people. Like I have over $10+ million out of my own money in loans to different people. But I only loan to people like that do deals in Atlanta. So like every loan I have is, I don't say every, but 99% of the money I put out are deals that are in Atlanta, because the reason why I only do Atlanta for fix and flips and stuff like that is because I know the area well. I know how to comp. I know what the stuff's worth. I'm really comfortable. Plus, if somebody doesn't pay me, I know how easy it is to foreclose and get the property. Like if you don't pay me on my loan, like within 2 months, I'm going to own the property, and I'm only going to loan you what I would want to buy the house for anyway. So it ends up working out if you don't pay me. But pretty much 99% of people don't pay me. But like once in a blue moon, something happens. But it's so easy because I know all the laws here. So I don't want to fuck around with other states because, first of all, I don't want to buy stuff, own stuff in other states, and I don't know how to, I don't know the laws. Every state's different and stuff like that. Like Georgia is a non-judicial foreclosure, so it's really easy. But other states are different. Now, as far as transactional funding, if people need transactional funding for 24 hours or less, I do those anywhere, and I do lots of those all over. And once in a while, there's some people in Sub 2 or other groups that I'll do like some smaller loans for in other states. Like I just did a couple like where people bought Sub 2 and they needed like, a small down payment, like 20, 30,000. I've done some of those deals in other states, just, short term, like, 2-3 month type deals just to get them so they could buy that Sub 2. But I don't like those that much. But I'll do them once in a while. Just, if it's someone I know well, or I know that I could trust them, stuff like that.
The King of Atlanta, right? That's basically what we're talking with right now. And so for perspective, like we are inside the Sub 2 group. We know, we see you post, your pictures of your houses almost every single day. We see how active you are. You're such a giver inside, not just that group, but you're obviously a giver outside of that group. You're part of a lot of different mentorships. So if someone's going to look at this again and they see today and they're like, how does this happen? But I think it really goes to show that like you're just somebody who like you get fulfillment off it. It excites you. You gamified the process. What does drive you? Like, what's like the big purpose? Like, what's the big goal? Obviously, you have kids now. How does that play a role too, also in your upbringing? And
Yeah,
how
I mean,
you,
so
how you doing with it?
so my kids, they're actually like 10, 12, and 14 right now. So they're at the point now where now they start coming to my office and kind of start seeing like some of the businesses. I own a lot of gyms around town, as Logan knows. That's how me and Logan met, through the gym business. That was another mentorship. That was a gym mentorship. So I actually spent $135,000 on that mentorship. I paid Alex Hormozy $135,000.
You single-handedly made Alex rich.
And guess what? Alex has hundreds of millions now. But guess what? That $135,000 that I gave Alex, I probably got over $1 million back on the return. So I don't care. You know, just like in Pace's program, I think I paid $8,000. You know, the first deal I did with somebody, I made 15, 20 grand. I've done hundreds of deals since I've joined. So a lot of programs that I joined, like for instance, Astro Flipping. Like I don't wholesale. I've never wholesaled, right? Jamil's program is about wholesaling. I still joined it. It cost, I think, $8,000. Why did I join it? Like, honestly, I watched the whole thing. Did I learn anything from it? I'm sure I learned some stuff, but nothing that like was like, you know, that really I needed to know. But I joined it because now I'm friends with 3,500 people in his group, and I do deals with them. Every deal I do with somebody, I'm making 10, 20, 30,000. So that 8,000, it's irrelevant. Like Jamil's, first of all, an awesome guy. He's fun to listen to. And I've met another few thousand people that I'm friends with now, and that we do deals together. So, and of course, every time I watch any program, I always learn something. Like maybe 90% of it I didn't need, or I didn't know, or I already knew, or it didn't help me. But you know, that 5 or 10% is worth all the money on top of all the contacts that you make.
I think it's amazing. Hold on, Sam. I gotta say this because I think this is like really important for everybody who's listening, because when you chat with somebody at a high level like Abraham, when you hear him talk about this, like he's always willing to invest, he's always willing to learn, he's always very curious, and he comes into programs where he probably has more money, he's probably more knowledgeable, he's probably done more deals than a lot of the mentors, a lot of the people who are in the space, but he comes in with the curiosity, and he's finding a way for it to make sense, because like he's naturally gravitating towards people, and he understands that people are the ones who have the money, that he eventually has the knowledge that he'll extract from them, right? For lack of a better word. But I think a lot of people, they're not humble enough to say, you know what, I'm here to learn. And they think that they know things, or they're not willing to be a student for life. And that's something that I picked up, is that Abraham, like you're a student for life. You're always wanting to learn. You're always wanting to connect. You always want to also serve. Like you're a big server. So not only are you continue reaching up, you're also having your hand down as well.
The more you serve, and the more you teach, and the more you help, the more it comes back at you.
Totally.
Like what goes around comes around. Like the more I help somebody, and I'm not necessarily helping them because I want something in return. Like most of the people I help, I'm just helping because I just want to help them. But just naturally, when you help somebody, stuff just happens good to you, either from them or they refer somebody, they tell you what happened, and just who knows? It could be right away, it could be a month later, it could be a year later, but at some point, that actually always comes back to help. Like we have real estate meetups every week here. Keegley's here have some. There's all different types of groups, and I speak at a lot of them. Obviously, I speak to them all for free. I spend sometimes an hour or more speaking at some of these events, and I don't do it for anything. But you know what? Every single time, a month later, I get like 3, 4, 5 new deals, because people that were there are like, "Oh, let's do deals together." And some of these deals I got only because I was there. Some of these deals I got because I helped them be able to figure out how to even get the deal. They wouldn't have got the deals sometimes, because I showed them certain things and told them, how to buy, how to comp, how to do a creative deal, how to whatever. And, it just helps everybody. So, the nicer you are, the more positive you are, in general, good things are just going to happen to you.
So I want to remind everybody that like this is a live freaking show. So if you're watching this, you're getting tons of value right now. Like wherever you're watching this, on Facebook or YouTube, like go like what you're seeing, go comment down below, let us know you're watching this. And also, Abraham has started a YouTube channel. They started putting content out there. I started watching some of the videos today. Like amazing, right? Amazing videos on there. So go get on Abraham's YouTube,
Yeah.
go subscribe to his channel. It's right here down on the bottom. So at Abraham Gray.
Started 2 weeks ago. I started, and I'm gonna have like
Yeah.
killer videos on how to do business. Basically how to make money. It's gonna be all about how to make money, how to have a good mindset, how to make
If
money.
the next
in business.
video isn't how to make $1 million at 19 years old, then you're fired. Let's just put it that way.
100%. We're gonna make a video on everything. Any single comment that I see in any of my YouTube posts, if somebody wants to see a video on it, I'm gonna make a video on it.
Yes. And so again, like, this is a live show. So if you have questions, drop your questions. I do see one question here I want to answer because I think is actually just touching on what you said right there. Is someone asked, why don't you have a mastermind?
I do, but I don't ever promote it. I actually do like 2 masterminds a year, but it's how to buy businesses with basically little to no money. So if you watch one of my first YouTube videos I put out, I showed how I bought a business for $1.2 million. Yep. That's what I paid for it. I use 0 of my own money, and it makes $200,000 a year that is cash flow without doing any work because I have someone that runs it. I'm never even there. I was there for maybe a week when I bought it, and since then I'm there less than once every couple months. But I have that check coming in every single month. So I bought tons and tons of businesses for millions of dollars that make crazy amounts of money, and I've never even had to use any of my own money to do it. And I teach that. That's what I teach in my mastermind. I do them like twice a year. Usually, like the last one had like 120 people. It was supposed to have 100, but I oversold. And no, they're great. And they're 3 days, 10 hours a day, and it's just from A to Z. How should you buy a business? Should you start a business? Why? How do you get financing? How do you value a business? How just how do you run it? How do you grow it? How do you sell it? Just everything, anything that you want to know about a business. And I spent like a couple of years putting it together, and I've just been teaching it for the last few years. But lately, because real estate's so hot, just so you know, like I've been doing business since I was 15, and that's how I made most of my money. Right? I had a business that I made $100 million in one business back in 2008, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. At $100 million. Now I had 3 parts. So that's the other key. You were talking about earlier about, you only do stuff that's fun. Yeah. Is everything in my business fun? Do I like doing everything in my business? Fuck no, I don't. But you know what? I have a partner in almost every single business, and I am the one. I do what I like to do, and luckily, I pick partners that don't like to do what I like to do, and I don't like to do what they like to do. So, for instance, you guys know Pace and Cody really well, right? Yep. I don't think you could pay Pace any amount of money to do what Cody does, and vice versa. And I'm the same exact way with my partner, right? So I'm like the creative guy. I'm the one that likes to negotiate the deals, find the deals, figure out what makes sense. But once I get it, I don't fucking want to run it, and I don't want to have to do all the back end paperwork and stuff like that. So, but my partner loves that. He's really analytical, and they do all the paperwork. They put the processes in place to run them. So I can't do anything without them because the business would fall apart, but they can't do anything without me because there wouldn't be a business to do that stuff for. And, that's the same way, Pace and Cody and pretty much any successful person has, the person that does what they don't like to do. And that makes what you do every single day enjoyable because you get to do what you enjoy. If I didn't enjoy it, I wouldn't do it because, again, I don't need to do it, but this is fun. And it's only fun because I have that person that does the stuff that I don't think is fun.
I mean, there's so much to be said about that. Like, I look at a lot of the names that I look up to, as serial entrepreneurs. A younger guy who's just kind of blowing up right now is Ryan Pineda. And Ryan Pineda is starting up a new company like every 5 minutes, it seems. And then he's been very vocal about his stance where he actually just wants to find the business, right? Make sure it's a good business to invest in, and then basically acquire it. But his thing is he always wants to find the highest level operators to run it. So my question to you is, because I think Logan also wants to get into this, and so do I, which is just getting into the business of buying businesses, is how are you finding hundreds of high level operators? Are they coming with the businesses? Are you looking for them and they're already in place?
So that's all like gone into really detail in this mastermind. I don't have another one like scheduled anytime soon, mainly because I'm so big. Usually I'm always doing business, right? But I'm always trickling in real estate a little bit every single year. I've always done real estate as I'm doing business, but I was like 80%, 90% business usually, and 10 to 20% real estate. Well, over the last 2 to 3 years, I flip-flopped. I'm like 80-90% real estate and 10% business, because the real estate market went fucking crazy the last few years. So like, if I told you the numbers I'm doing, you probably wouldn't believe me, but I'm telling you, for the last couple of years, I'm making over 7 figures a month, every single month in profit. And you know, it's hard. I don't know how long that's going to last. So I'm just putting all my effort into real estate. And then at some point, and I've already seen over the last month or two, it's starting to turn. When it starts turning and it gets a little bit harder to make that kind of money, I'm still always going to stay in real estate. I'm always going to do real estate, but I'm going to start going a lot more into business. Now, you can make way more money in business than you can in real estate long term, but there's these trends, and when the trends happen, you gotta stick to whatever you can make the most money at the time, because it doesn't last forever.
So let's actually play on that, because I'm sure a lot of people on here are in real estate. A lot of people are in business. Maybe they're in both. And so you, as being someone who's been successful for so freaking long, you have a track record. Your opinion, it freaking matters, right? You've been through crashes. You've been through the game. You've been through the gamut. So
yeah,
through Abraham's crystal ball again, and this is just what you believe. It doesn't, like, no one take it as like straight advice or like do this, do that, do that. But like, what do you see happening in the next year, 2 years, 5 years? What is your timeline? What's your crystal ball?
Obviously, I don't know exactly what's going to happen. That's just my opinion. However, I do know, and this is a fact, of what to do when the market's good, what to do when the market's bad. That's a guarantee. I know that. Like, I know what to do. I don't know when it's going to be good and when it's going to be bad necessarily, but I know what to do when it is bad.
Well, then what do people do right now? What do people do right now? The market's good. It's turning.
It's turning. What do people do? Turning. You got to start being more careful. So like, I was able to buy. So it's the last 2 years, literally, I bought 300 properties a year, right? At least the last couple of years. And you know how many properties I lost money on over, a year over those 300? Not even one, maybe one a year. How is that possible? I'm not perfect. I make mistakes when I buy stuff. But if I bought something in January and I couldn't sell it and make money, I just kind of held on to it. And then in June, it was worth 30% more. So now my mistake caught up and now I made money on it. So that's what's been happening the last 2 years. That's not going to happen anymore. Right now, that's not going to keep happening. So now I got to start being a little more careful. And now, I will lose a little bit on some stuff. I'll buy a lot of stuff on gamble, because the upside, is a lot bigger. But so now you got to start being a little bit more careful. But I'm actually have a YouTube video that I just made that I'm posting tomorrow. Nice. That talks about my real estate strategies when the market's good, bad, in between, what I did, how I made a ton of money when the market crashed in real estate, how I made a ton of money when the market's super hot right now. And that's a video that I'm going to post tomorrow on my YouTube. And but basically, the gist of it is, when the market is really good, you just buy, fix and flip. You buy and fix and flip. Or for most people that are watching, you wholesale just a ton of properties, right? You just buy and wholesale. When the market turns and is not good, you just don't fix and flip anymore. You buy stuff and hold. So you have to figure out ways to get loans on them, so you have to use any of your money, or you do creative finance stuff, right? You do a lot of owner finance, you do a lot of sub twos. When the market starts going down, it's so easy to get sub twos. Subject twos are the easiest thing to buy. There's so many people that can't afford their homes anymore. There's so many people that are going on foreclosure. You could make a great deal for yourself and the person you're buying it from, and really have to come up with almost none of your own money. And if you have to come up with some money, there's a lot of people out there that will loan you the money you need for the for the amount that you need to come up with to buy the entry fee. So there's lots of ways to do it. Again, talking to people, putting yourself out there, talking to people, putting yourself out there, and you have to be positive about it and know that you can do it. If you know you can do it, you're going to be able to do it. If you think that you're not going to be able to do it, people could read you. If you are positive, people could sense that. If you're negative, people could sense that. If you don't think you can do it, people aren't going to trust you, because they're going to be like, well, this guy is not good, it's going to be a bad investment. So if you come out and believe in yourself, people are going to see that you believe in yourself, and they're going to invest in you. And that it's crazy how this mindset thing works, but it's true.
I'm gonna change the title of this podcast to the most successful, most giving person that no one the internet has never met yet.
They will. They'll see me now. So like I said, over the last few years, people have been bugging the shit out of me to do the YouTube videos just about stories of how to make money. Because like literally in real estate and in business, I have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of businesses that have made millions, tens of millions, up to $100 million on. And real estate, I have just in the last year, my real estate that I have my buy and holds went up like $15 million in equity. It's just in 1 year. I did nothing. I didn't have to pay taxes on it because it's equity, and I didn't have to work. I just sat there. I already owned them. They just went up. So we'll have stories on how to do this and how to do this without using any money, or if you need to use money, how to get it. I have another real estate meetup next week, Wednesday in Atlanta, and we have someone coming in that just acquired tens of millions of dollars worth of properties and used zero of their own money. And they're gonna show how they did it. They actually came up with this whole way to do it in the past year of how to just basically be able to buy unlimited amounts of stuff with any of their own money and make it a great deal for the people giving you the money that you need. So if you're in Atlanta, you got to come to my my in-person real estate events.
When is that going to be specifically?
So we have a few people speaking. So Eddie Charger is in charge of the event. You guys know Eddie. He's the one that runs the Atlanta events. And the guest speaker next week is going to be Keston Glasgow. You know Keston. Everyone knows Keston, right? And Jasmine, his wife, right? So he's going to be speaking. I'll be speaking about a bunch of different things. The last event we had a couple weeks ago, we had Noah Hoffman there. We had Munif. And we had Love was there. The one before that, we had Sean St. Clair came. We had Brian Fowler, like these attorneys, these are Pace's attorneys. They came and spoke for free for an hour and gave advice on everybody. But these are the types of people we have. We have real estate attorneys come. We have all different types of, people come that real estate agents, creative finance people that, loan money, people that teach you how to get money. So, and on top of that, there's 100 people at these events that you can network with and do tons of deals. We had a lot of people, I don't think you'll know them because they're more Atlanta people, but a lot of people that like kill it in the Airbnb space that came and spoke and showed you how to do Airbnbs, how to get people to do arbitrages, how do you talk to the landlords, how you set them up, how you make money, and all these different things. So it's different topics every time, and they're great. And if you follow me on Facebook, if you friend me on Facebook, you'll see everything. I actually post all my YouTube videos on my Facebook as well. It's Abraham Gray. Just friend me on Facebook if you want to make money, if you care about real estate or business, then you should definitely friend me on Facebook. Anyone that has any interest in that stuff, I'll accept your friends. I actually always have 5,000 friends on Facebook, and you can't have more. So every single week I'm deleting 50 to 100 people just so I can add 50 to 100 more people. And I have this program that if anyone that hasn't liked or commented or done any engagement in any of my posts, I can see all those people, and those are the people I delete every single week because obviously they don't want to be friends with me because they don't see any value in it. So I have to add the people that want to be friends. So that every week I'm deleting and adding people. But definitely be friends with me on Facebook. I'm on Facebook all the time. I actually make more money. I actually make millions of dollars a year just being on Facebook. Most of the deals that I buy in real estate is because of Facebook groups. So if you're not in Facebook groups, you're missing out.
So everyone go, if you're friends with Abraham right now, better go like some of his shit. Otherwise he's gonna block your ass.
Well, I delete you because I'm doing it for you, not for me. You obviously don't want me to, you obviously don't care about any of my stuff. Like why hang around, and other people that want to see stuff. So I just do it. But if you friend me back, I'll accept you back, but you'll keep getting deleted if you don't ever engage.
I honestly feel like in a year or two, this is going to escalate. There's going to be a tier system where it's like strike 2, strike 3, then you're blocked. You're in Facebook jail. But I mean, This goes to show. This is funny. This is
the system actually shows. Okay, anyone that engaged in the last year, or anyone engaged the last 6 months, anyone engaged the last 3. So like if every single person is engaged, now I'll just say, okay, anyone that hasn't engaged in the last year, and then I'll just 6 months, 4 months, 3, whatever. Eventually, it'll be people that engaged, the closest to the time I'm at, but. Yeah. Right now, I still have probably 30% of the people. Like I have 5,000 people. There's still 1,500 people that I could delete that haven't engaged in a year. So eventually they'll all be gone and they'll be replenished.
But I love that. One, those 1,500 people need to get their shit together, 100%. But two, this is something that I've been preaching is that when you can, friend or follow someone who's somewhere where you want to be, and Abraham, I think the reality is everyone who follows you wants to one day be where you're at. There is a freaking power and an actual value to engaging and pushing their stuff, and just becoming known as someone who actually freaking supports. And it's something that no one does. They're just blind followers observing and observing and observing. And it's like, well, there could be an opportunity for you to eventually do business with Abraham. But if you're one of the 1,500 people who haven't liked any of his stuff or haven't pushed it or shared it or whatever, especially when Abraham's pushing this amazing YouTube channel. By the way, you're the veneer that you have in the back of your setup in your podcast.
You want me to go up there? It's an office next door. I'll walk over there. I'll show you. I'll show you my
trip, guys.
I have 3 people I hired 3 weeks ago, or 4 weeks ago. All they do, 3 people, 40 hours a week. They just hang around me and make videos. So here's my conference room. They're all in here right now.
Look at the behind the scenes.
Shema here is the one that made a lot of the big videos. Annabelle here has made a lot of my shorts. And then Lynn, who just left, is in charge. Let's walk up to the studio. We'll look. They're making videos right now. See there.
That's amazing.
So, I'm filming all the time.
We're so fortunate right now to catch you when you're in the process of actually doing this. This is amazing.
I have 3
we got on the podcast.
3 full-time people that all I have them do is follow me around, make videos. So here's my studio. Let's see here. Turn the light on. But so I have a setup here where we do podcast style stuff and we turn them into cool videos. And then my lighting.
Nice.
I have my desk here where I sit and make all my videos with the black wall behind. I actually have some cool pictures that is not up right now. Got my whiteboard walls, and then places for everyone to sit, and then we have. I put this on top. There's all different colors, so depending on what I'm shooting, you can see I can make.
Sweet.
When the light's off, I have different.
Yeah.
So, so I film here, and then obviously my office that we were at. I do a lot of filming in there. I have in my office just pictures of all types of businesses I've had in the past. And I actually bought this building earlier this year, 6,000 square feet, and it's just all real estate. I rent out 2,000 square feet to somebody else. But yes, here's my office.
Nice.
So Abraham just gave me an idea for a podcast segment, Logan, that we've got to start doing. We actually are going to have to force people to give us a tour of their studios and their offices. We want to see. This is going to be mandatory now going forward. So Abraham, we're going to credit you for that, man.
Yeah. Sure.
You just invented the new podcast theme. It's just actually show us what you have in your office. Show us around. Show us your businesses. Show us your bank statements. Your transparency is actually, it's really, it's amazing.
I have a whiteboard in every office in this building. I have 10 offices. They all have this rolling whiteboard. It's the best. It's the best way to show people, teach people stuff, and remember stuff and put stuff on there. Some of I have a couple acquisition managers. They have all the deals that are pending, all the deals we're about to close, all the deals we're about to sell. So yeah, whiteboards are awesome. I love whiteboards.
So Abraham, as we start to wrap this up, tell us a little bit about how people can I'm sitting here watching this podcast. I'm like, dude, I want to give value to this guy, right? I want to be in this guy's airspace. How can people who are listening, how can they provide value to you? What's the easiest, what's the best way? What do you need right now in your life?
Sell me deals in Atlanta. But honestly, just come to my, I have people that every single week that come to my office and we just go through stuff and I help them be able to close more deals, and that helps me ultimately be able to buy more deals. Or I lend a lot of people money on deals. So the more I help people, it helps them. And I don't care if they sell me the deals or not. I don't care if they borrow money from me or not. But if I could give them the highest for it, or if I could give them the best rates for what they can get, they'll use me. So basically, yeah, I just help people. Like I said, it just kind of all comes back. A lot of times, you're helping people just to help people, but a lot of times it ends up being where you do business. There's actually some people in Sub 2 that we have done. I have done deals with that I'm partners on with different properties. So there's this guy, Eric Wong in California, that we just bought a big property together. I think we paid like $750,000 for it, and we partnered. Right, he needed the down payment, and he was able to finance the rest. So he got like a loan on it. I was able to help him put the down payment on. Then now we just cash flow every month. And he lives in California. He bought a property in Georgia, and we partnered on it. And then there's a bunch of other people in there that we I partnered on. Munif, I've done a lot of deals with that we're actually partners on some deals. I've bought deals from dozens of people in Sub 2. I could name, everyone knows Mamadou. I mean, all these different people I've done deals with. Crystal, Greg, they're all in Sub 2. I mean, Tron, Brian, just, obviously Ralph. Ralph, I've done multiple deals with. Ralph's my boy. He comes to my office now. He lives an hour and a half away. He'll just like he'll like take off of work for like a day. Just to, he shouldn't be working, but whatever. That's a whole nother story. But he should be doing real estate. We're gonna get it to where by the end of this year he's not working anymore. He's only doing real estate. Ralph and Tyra, but. Basically, yeah, we're going to get him a place in Atlanta. He's like an hour and a half away now. We're going to train jiu-jitsu together and we're going to train jiu-jitsu together, and we're going to buy a lot of properties together and do well. So, but in the Sub 2, and there's a lot of people in Astro. There's a lot of people in all these other groups that I don't know if you're as familiar with. I'm in so many fucking groups. Like I'm in SEO groups. I'm in marketing groups. I'm in gym groups. I'm in, creative finance group, wholesaler groups, and a lot of this stuff I don't even do. Like I don't do wholesale, but like I said, the connections that you make, and I worked it alone.
I think what you said right there is actually profound, and I think if anyone takes that as like, it's the network, it's the connections, it's the people, it's always the people, and like you're willing to join a group, not even for the information, which is what people like they think they get sold on, but it's the network, it's the group, it's the people. I think that's so cool.
Yeah, absolutely. When as we're wrapping this up, I actually want to say this. I want to highlight this. And Logan and I go to a lot of events, right? We go to a lot of mastermind type events, and we get a lot of speakers. And the reality is, a lot of times we're going to go there, and those events are geared at people who are brand new, who are just trying to learn the business. And there's not much that we can learn from it from a theoretical standpoint. But if you guys are listening, the bigger and better that I get at this game, and I start surrounding myself with people like Abraham, who've been doing this at a high level, the number one thing that I keep taking is they just keep putting themselves in rooms, not to necessarily learn from the room, but it's just to be in it, network with the people in there, and then remain top of mind. And when you're serving, like Abraham serves with proof of funds, he serves with helping people underwrite deals, he serves by just helping people work their deals and give them money and loans and things like this. What's happening, and I love that he said this, he actually doesn't really care if they sell him the deal or not. But what ends up happening is if you do it long enough, you actually end up just staying on the top of people's heads. When an opportunity comes up, he ends up being the first person they think about. And it's a long-term play, but it yields so much massive success. And it's 100% the right mindset for every one of us to have. So the next time you guys are thinking about joining a mentorship or a mastermind, and there's a giant pool of people waiting there, you don't view it as am I going to get value from the modules and from the videos and the trainings? That's not where the value is. The value is in connecting and doing business with the 3,000 other people that are there. So Abraham, thank you so much for highlighting that. It's freaking huge.
The crazy thing is too, besides let's just say, I'm really good at certain things. By the way, I suck at most things. I'm just good at a few. But when I go to these mastermind or when I go to these events, even if they're free events or paid events, there's always people that are like doing a lot better than you or doing a lot worse than you. And you can really learn from everybody. Like even the people that aren't doing as good as you, maybe you're 90%, 90% more than them, but that little bit that they know, they can help you with, and then boom, you can just use that. So I learn from everybody. I try to learn from people that are more successful, but even the people that aren't more successful, there's stuff that they're more successful in than I'm at,
Yeah. At all the groups you're part of, like right now, in your journey, again, this is you specifically, not anybody else, like your journey, like who are you modeling, who are you looking up to, who are you using as a way that you want to get to the level that you're trying to get to?
Shit, cut off. I can't hear you.
So at the level that you're at, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. I think that's. I think he froze.
Yeah, you guys froze.
No, I can hear Logan. Abraham, I think it's on your end.
I heard something say.
So you're back.
Like out of all the groups.
Yeah. So out of all the groups you're part of, all the mentors that you currently have in your life, and with the goals that you have, again, like you specifically, I'm not talking about like anybody else who's listening. Like who are the people or the person or the group that you're looking for you to get to the level that you want to be at?
I mean, there's not like any specific group that I'm like, all right, this guy, I want to be like this guy, because there's stuff that they do that I'm not going to ever be able to do, and there's stuff that I do that they're not going to be able to do. So we're different. I don't like try to be better than them or worse than them or whatever. But I get ideas from everybody. Like there's stuff that they do that I was like, you know what, that's kind of cool. I need to do that. But I mean, just from the people that right? I know Jamil, Pace, and Alex Ramosi because you were, would say that there's a lot of things that Pace does that is awesome that I look up to. A lot of stuff that Jamil does I look up to. Alex Ramosi, there's a lot of stuff that he does. And then there's all these other people. But I would say I look up to even people that I'm not in their groups more. Like there's people just like Elon Musk and people like that I look up to, or different people on YouTube that have like all these great stories and have made just tons of money. You don't even know who these people are. Yeah. Some of those people, you look up to because it's like, is that even possible to get there? And, I think it is. It's just, or get close. So, those are the people, and you kind of see their story. And I look up to all these people that have done creative stuff. I look up to the most creative people. I'm a creative type person. Like, I can't do anything that's not creative usually. So anyone that's creative, those are the people I look up to. And the people that Pace is obviously super creative. Alex is very creative. And, so those are the people that I love looking at their creativity and seeing what they do creative that I don't do and try to incorporate it into the, different things I do, whether it's business, whether it's relationships, whether it's parenting, whether it's business, real estate. It's all, the same thing could work in anything.
I love it. This goes back. This is when I see how you operate, a lot of it's operating with curiosity. It's finding out unique ways to better yourself in little tangible things where you might take something with Pace, because Pace is like one of the most amazing family men I've ever seen, and how he operates with integrating his family and his business. There's a lot of creativity that's required that goes against a lot of people's norms. And it actually gives a lot of people insight on how to operate. And the fact that you approach not just business, but all aspects of your life with these mentors, just creatively trying to extract what you can to better your own quality it just goes to show the type of person you are. And I want to, and I want to actually highlight this. You mentioned this earlier, right? It's like, whether or not you can become a billionaire, 100%, you can. And I think Logan would agree with this, is that we've had on a few people who are definitely on that track. And then here's the thing, right? You mentioned that you've made insane amounts of money. You're going to be basically set for the rest of your life, and your kids are going to be set and everything like this. But I think there's one driving force that I see in you that's actually going to result in you becoming a billionaire. And it's the fact that that you can. And I think that if you didn't, you'd just be kicking yourself for the rest of your life about it, because you were like, you know what? I can see that. I 100% see that hunger. You know that you can, and because you can, you will.
That's plan.
Abraham, thank you so much for being here. It's been an absolute honor.
It's not. I don't have any major advantage over you guys. We could all do it. Yeah. Let's do it together.
Yeah.
Dude, absolutely. There we have it. Logan, are you ready to become a billionaire with Abraham?
Dude, that's why we do this, because we want to be in your airspace, Abraham. We want everyone we're on this. We're like we want to get in your draft. We want to get in your tailwind and not just get in there. Like, how do we bump you? How do we continue to push you, right? And I think that always
that Bruno Mars song, the whole podcast. I want to be a billionaire so fucking bad.
Yeah. I need you to be a billionaire. I need Alex to be a billionaire. I need you guys. I need Pace, right? And then we want to be bumping you. We want to be bumping you, right? That's It's the game. So Abraham, seriously appreciate you. Thank you so much. And like, if you guys have not gone and subscribed to his YouTube channel, go do that. He can't kick you off there, but if you go add him as a Facebook friend, make sure that it comes with a requirement to engage. And I will be a living, breathing testament to like how much interaction you get on your Facebook posts is wild, right? It's wild, and it's because you have highly engaged people. Otherwise, you get kicked off. So it's working that you're doing that system. It definitely works. So go follow him on Facebook, or go friend request him. Go follow him on YouTube, and he's the most successful. He's the most humble. He's the most giving person you've never heard of, but that is not going to be for long because he's pumping out massive content right now. Go be part of that first run, those first early adopters, and I assure you.
And if you're out of shape, go see Logan. He's got a 6-week challenge for you that's going to put you right back in shape.
That's right. Appreciate you, my friend. Origin Story Podcast, Sam Singh. Thanks so much, Abraham Gray.
Yeah.
We're out.
See you later. Okay, bye.